and welcome to Hypothetically Intentional, where we ask the question, what if we set intentions with everything we do? I'm your host, Michelle Albers. Today I have John. What the heck? I was combining your names. I have Dawn Jenkins back. If that's any indication of how this is going to go, we're in trouble, girl.
Oh, if I ever need to write a book under a pseudonym, it's going to be Jen Dawkins instead of Dawn Jenkins.
Oh, well, now I'm really going to be confused.
Who am I and where do I work?
Who are you? Where do you work? All right, let's drop into an intention before we get too silly. I mean, we're going to get silly.
I mean, silly is where I live.
Silly is where I live as well, which is maybe what makes this so much fun.
Yeah. I would like to set an intention to be open to the possibilities.
That's magical. I love that. And I'm really happy that you're back. I'm really happy that we got a request. We asked for a request. We got a request. And that makes me ridiculously happy. And it's happy a request. It's just in the little 2-second or 2-minute preview that you and I had, the little pre-conversation. It's a messy question, and I love that.
I love it. I mean, who doesn't live in a messy life, in a messy world?
Well, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, honestly, it wouldn't matter what they asked for. And everything seems messy right now in my world. I don't know about yours, but I mean, sometimes like that, the alchemy of messy isn't quite so pronounced.
Right.
And these days, it feels very pronounced, like across the board. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the question was specific to Ayurveda.
Yes.
And then I actually reached out and kind of got a follow-up question. Or we could dive more into how you use yoga therapy for yourself. So we can maybe braid those two together, or we can do a whole nother podcast. But I feel like let's stick to the written question was about Ayurveda.
Yeah. So I use Ayurveda as a yoga therapist for certain frameworks, especially if people are looking to make personal changes. Like, I just want to feel better in my body. I just want my digestion to be better. I'm going on this path. And it's a nice place to start because there are just so many concrete, like you do your dosha test, and then you do some more dosha tests if you're being thorough to figure out like where you are, if you're pitta, kapha, or vata. They're all awesome.
I feel like we should pause there and describe them.
Yeah. So, pitta. I always start with pitta because, as you can see, Michelle can see, my face is on fire right now because I'm a very fiery person. Pittas are very fiery, driven, can be judgmental about themselves and others, a little too type A sometimes.
I mean, is there such a thing?
If you're going to be the valedictorian of being type A, you might be pitta.
That's hysterical.
Kapha is more steadiness, home and hearth, nurturing kind of feeling. Challenges there as they get stuck. And I mean, these are gross generalizations, right?
Sure, yeah.
Vata, if you are habitually late to things or super creative, out-of-the-box thinker, you probably have some Vata energy in you. And most people aren't just one thing.
Right.
And even fewer people are all three at the same time. So according to Ayurveda, with each of these doshas, I talk with my hands.
I do too. I know nobody can see that because this is audio only. We don't even have a video rolling today. We just have a mic on the table between us to set the picture for y'all.
That's all right. That's all right. I do it for me.
I do it too. It's like, oh.
According to your dosha, there are ways to eat and ways to behave, things to avoid. So I think the most common things that I will work with clients with are, hey, you are fiery like me, and maybe eating chili peppers with every meal is not really optimal for your digestion. Or I use Ayurveda too for sleep, because people who struggle to get to sleep, to stay asleep, really do benefit from the regimented. Yeah, I'll use that word. I think regimented is a good, solid word. Regimented structure about when you get up, when you go to bed, what is allowed at what time of the day. You don't have to entertain it all day, but having a good nighttime routine. We're all just basically babies that grew up and still need quiet time and cozy time, and to have digested our food so that we can fall asleep. And it's simple, it's effective. There are 0 negative side effects. That being said, I confessed earlier, I have a love-hate relationship with Ayurveda, because in my own personal studies, I found that it was something that I never felt like I was doing enough. And I never felt like I was doing it completely right. And I would just spin myself up all the time. Like, oh, I didn't get up before the sun this morning. Oh, I forgot to rinse my mouth before I did this thing, and here and there, and all the time. And so it was just, we talked about the measuring stick last time. It was just something that felt like I was getting the message all the time. This is not yours. This is not for you. This is not going to help you. Or you're doing it wrong.
That sounds a little type A, right? Like,
well, guess what?
I mean, I know, me too. I mean, I'm hearing you say that. I'm like, I can see that if there's like a map or a structure or like a checklist, and then you don't check off all the boxes if you're in your pitta, I'll just say it that way, right? Then of course that's going to be judgmental. I mean, it brings all that fiery stuff to the front.
Yeah.
I think, to me, I know just enough in Ayurveda to be dangerous maybe to myself. But I also find it sometimes really helpful with the bits that I do know, because I can get that ping like, oh my God, I'm feeling really angry all the time. Maybe it's because I've been eating nothing but spicy food and my pitta is raging at the moment. And so I am like on fire, and not in a good, nice transformational fire way. I'm in like a rage fire. And so it can be helpful. But I feel like Ayurveda, for me, when I look at it as like because it was in my yoga teacher training, and that's probably about it. Maybe some of my Thai massage trainings and little side trainings that I took. But it feels to me the same as like chakra trainings it's like, I feel like I could study both of those things for the rest of my life and still feel like a brand new newbie in 100%. Them, because there's so much information and there's so much you can do.
Yeah.
Like the number of times if somebody wants to dive into stuff, I'm like, I can give you just a itty bitty little taste, and then I'm going to refer you out to someone who knows more, because this is not my wheelhouse. I mean, it's a path that I've dipped my toe into or placed my foot on.
100%. And when I use it with clients, it's like, here's a piece. Try this. Oh, did you like it or not like it? Did it work? Did it not work? And we build from there. But like when I was in trainings, it wasn't doled out that way.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, so the morning routine is this. And it's like an hour and a half long.
No matter which dosha. There's just like it's just the morning routine for alchemy in general. Just the morning
routine for general well-being and health.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I don't, certain pieces of it really, really do resonate, and certain other pieces don't. When I was in my yoga therapy training, we did even more intensive, like we did cleanses and we did, lots of talks about things. And there was a very particular talk about menstruation and how you should be at your leisure for multiple days. Someone else should be cooking for you. All like this whole, and I'm like, who's going to come over to my house and cook for me and the rest of my family? Because presumably if I can't cook for me, I can't cook for the rest of my family. And like, why is this even a thing? So then it got into the catch-all phrase that if you are menstruating, you shouldn't do inversions. And I said, okay, so if apana, the downward movement of prana, governs this, and I shouldn't turn upside down, does that mean my apana doesn't work? Does it mean I'm not exhaling properly? Does it mean I'm not urinating and defecating properly during that time? Do men have to not turn upside down so that they can exhale and do these things? Like, and what about the people who are on the space station and have a completely different relationship to gravity?
Oh my gosh.
And they were like, we're done talking about this with you now.
I feel like I've had many conversations about religion that end that way.
Yes.
It's like, we're done talking about this now.
The people who love it really, really love it. And I wholeheartedly believe that it can be helpful.
Yeah.
It has to work with who you are and how you live in the world.
Yeah.
And so
I wonder, go ahead.
I do my own little picking and choosing, and I don't claim to be an Ayurvedic practitioner. I've had many trainings, but that's not, my shingle.
Yeah.
My shingle is yoga therapy, and it kind of figures in there.
And so it's like a complement too.
Yes.
And it can support information, and even it can support practices that may or may not. I mean, isn't it all a bit of an exploration anyway? No matter whether it's Ayurveda or chakras or yoga therapy or anything else that we're choosing to do for our own healing and our own wellness, I feel like all of it is an experiment because we all have our own unique makeup and our own unique structure of how we have to show up in the world. Because for some people, an hour and a half every morning is not even feasible. And you might say, yeah, it is. You can get up at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. and do this. And it's like, well, but for some people, I'm just going to say it again, that's not feasible.
Yeah.
Sure, some people could maybe do that. And then the rest of their day is completely shot, and I understand that the concept is, well, yes, but if you do this on the regular and consistently, it will shift that and change everything. And it's like, sure, maybe. And also how much pain do you have to go through to shift?
Right.
And I'm not knocking the being willing to be uncomfortable, healing. That's what healing is. That.
Yeah.
I do understand that bit.
Willing to wade through.
Yeah, and take chances and try things out and see if it feels right and understand that it might feel not right to start with.
Yeah.
Right? There's differences in all of that. And also I just wonder how many practitioners today, because when you're saying that, that's actually how it's being trained today.
To pick and choose?
Well, and even just the things you mentioned about the space station and I just wonder how many practitioners today consider how much we've changed as a society and culturally and all of that.
I think some do, for sure.
Yeah, I would imagine they almost have to.
I did some research.
You did?
I found out that there were no documented, or not that they told anyone, but women didn't have problems with endometriosis because they menstruated without gravity, and they didn't have problems with their cycle not working, or basically their body just kept doing what their body does.
So fascinating. Gosh, I feel like we just opened a whole big window to that we could unpack and explore for 5 more podcasts at least, maybe a lifetime, really. But I love the idea, circling back into Ayurveda as a tool to support yoga therapy.
Yeah.
I love that because I think, well, and is it a piece of yoga therapy?
It was in the training that I did.
Okay.
I trained with Spanda Yoga Movement Therapy.
Okay.
And they're affiliated with the Himalayan Institute. My teacher, Jamie Schmidt, trained with Swami Rama. So she's down with all of that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
She was the one who was like, okay, we're just going to agree to disagree on this, and that's fine, and we'll move on from here.
Yeah. Well, and I do understand too the concept, some questions in a classroom, there's not time to unpack. That's a whole nother workshop,
Yeah.
I do understand that.
For real.
And you were heard. You felt heard.
100%.
Yeah.
I don't typically ask questions in classes. I don't, maybe this is, I don't know. It's a me thing. I just trust that the information I'm supposed to get is going to flow to me.
Yeah.
But on this particular day, I just felt fiery and pushed back and was like, you know what? I'm tired of hearing about that.
Because it doesn't feel true to you.
Well, because one, I don't get to live that. I don't have a servant to take care of me for 5 to 7 days a month. And also, like, I feel pretty consistent in what I put out into the world, how I care for myself, regardless of my lunar cycle.
Yeah.
So there's that. So we all have our limits.
Yeah.
I feel like if I took everything I learned in every training without putting it up to, is it true for me? Is it true for my clients? Is it true for my family? Is it true? It would be a disservice.
100%. I cannot say how much I agree with that. Like, there aren't words adequate. I think, right? I think we always have to consider everything, like the whole picture. I mean, everything that we can. I mean, I don't think we ever know the whole picture.
No.
But I think to be willing to have conversations with your clients, to be willing to be really accurate as you can possibly be with yourself, even when you're doing the work for yourself.
Yes.
And then inviting your clients to do the same, and then having a conversation that is really clear that they can, quote unquote, push back on authority. I mean, I'm circling back to a conversation I had with a therapist, and we were talking about like the authority and that, like, that relationship, how that changes things sometimes, and how it's really important to be clear, like, you are the authority of, like, you are the most important piece in this. Like, you're the one that's doing the work. You're the one that is, like, your body is the one talking. I don't know what your body is saying unless you share that with me. And sometimes we don't know what our own body is sharing. So I think absolutely having like a conversation and figuring out what may or may not work.
Yeah.
For you and the humans in the room.
Every yoga therapy client is their own scientist. Mm-hmm. It's an anecdotal study with an N of 1, and we find out what's true and what works and what's not true and doesn't work. And it's something that we do together.
Yeah.
I have an idea. Let's try this. How do you feel about trying something different?
Well, and I think so, I mean, and maybe I'm wrong in this, but like how it feels to me, then yoga therapy is a way to like reel it in, so to speak, and reel it in with expertise, reel it in with like tried and true, practices that potentially have worked in the past and tend to work on the regular.
Yeah.
And then it's a matter of, does this particular practice fit for you?
Right.
And if it doesn't, there's more. Because otherwise you're just fishing in the universe and like, how do you find a thing? It's like...
You do.
Right. And so that's kind of what I'm hearing in how yoga therapy can work, is it can like zip things up and reel things in and then give you like a nice... I don't know, I'm seeing like a periodic table, which is a weird thing to see, but, just resources and alchemy
Tools
to
for
work
your
with.
toolbox.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. It's like, where was I going with this? Okay, does the person need a back bend? Like, why would they need a back bend? Well, maybe they've felt stuck. Maybe they got too much kapha. Maybe they...
And when you say back bend, I just want to be really clear. Like, that can look like laying over a blanket that's an inch tall, right? Versus like a full-blown like wheel.
That's exactly where I was going.
Oh, sorry.
No, totally.
I was just like, oh my gosh, because I'm picturing like back bend. And I'm like, wait, hang on.
Right.
And I know that's not what you meant, but
maybe you just need to help them sit in a way that lengthens the linea alba that runs from the bottom of your sternum to your pubic bone. That's a back bend. That, energetically, that's going to move things. How strong, how subtle. Is it someone who could be in a full wheel or Urdhva Dhanurasana pose, or is it someone who would maybe do a camel pose, right?
Yeah.
It's just, what do they have going on? Where do they want to go? And I help them find a road.
Gosh, this is leading me to an interesting question. Maybe it's not interesting. It's interesting to me. I'm not blanketly stating that this is so interesting.
Right.
But I'm thinking about Ayurveda specifically, maybe, but maybe not. Maybe yoga therapy as well. I'm thinking about like, because you were talking about physical body and like if they are feeling stuck and moving the spine and the muscles around it, right? And all the nerves. I mean, it's all connected, but moving, it can actually affect, emotions, thoughts, like, right? It's not, this isn't, the back bend isn't just for the physical body. I mean,
Right.
this is, so can we talk a little bit? It's not a really fully formulated question because that's why it's interesting to me because I know nothing. I do know that that's all connected, that like what we eat and how we sleep affects our emotions and our physical body. But I'm thinking about like yoga therapy and Ayurveda. If you're a human who's struggling with pain in your body, or maybe it's not pain in your body. Maybe it's pain in your mind. Maybe your thoughts are just out of control and they're really hard for you.
Right.
Do you look at the do you have a starting point? I think that's the question.
I do. Well, first we just talk about what they've got going on. Like, what made you want to do this? And then that usually leads to other questions about their physical condition, about their mental condition, about their energetic condition. There's a set of, like, they look like exercises. They look like some simple yoga stuff that you can use to observe. Actually, Tanya taught me how to observe the vayus, the way the prana is moving with the breath, right?
Yeah, that was an amazing practice.
Tool. And also a great practice when you're like, oh, you know what? I need to feel more synchronized. I'm just going to breathe this way, right? But you can observe how their joints are working. You can observe how they hold their head. You can just kind of see how all the biomechanics are working together. It's like 7 or 8 specific things.
Does it inevitably come back to the physical body? Like, is that always a link? Always is a strong word.
Usually if people have come to yoga therapy for something, that is a good doorway to walk through. Because if you can move them in some way with that, they will then be more open or receptive to trying things that move energy in a more subtle way, like mantra, mudra, even like changing their diet. You would not think that it would be such a game over, done, not having this conversation thing to say to someone, have you considered becoming a vegetarian?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they're done. They're like, what? No. This is what I eat. This is the way I do it. This is the way my family eats. My family won't like it if I change this. It's huge.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh gosh, my brain is going in so many directions. This is actually a hard. It's a lovely conversation, but it's a hard conversation for me to have because I have like a million ways my brain goes.
Well, it's like a choose your own adventure book that never ends.
Yeah.
Right? So let me give you a specific example of, I did not decide to sit down and do yoga therapy on myself because I thought it's like asking yourself questions and seeing what the answers are. Sometimes it's fruitful and sometimes it's not. So I just taught a 5-week series for the hips. And the body keeps the score, and I think where it keeps like 70% of the score is in the hips. And so I, worked out these routines in my own practice and then was doing them with my class for 5 weeks. And we just ended last night, so it was the 5th week. Last Friday, I was having a massage because it's very helpful for my neck configuration and my headaches and stuff. You can't yoga therapy yourself out of headaches, I think. Maybe I can. We'll find out. So I'm on the massage table, and I had an epiphany. And I don't have a lot of epiphanies. I'm not one of those persons who's struck with brilliance all the time. And I realized that I was struggling with hot flashes.
I'm literally having one right now.
For some very specific, interesting reasons. Mm-hmm. And that was, not that I'm enjoying my massage. It's really awesome. And I realized that why it is so hard for me is because that rising heat from my chest to my face mimics what happened to me, my growing up life, where I would have to shove down my feelings. Oh. And then the heat rises. Like, I can stop myself from yelling at people and acting out and all of these things, but then this heat would come up. And eventually it would pass, so you get on with your life, right? So now when my hormones send my body into this hot flash, I feel anger. I feel betrayal. I feel like somebody pulled the rug out from under me. Literally, physically, emotionally. And I'm like, you're just warm.
I mean, warm is a subtle word.
Right? Sometimes it's just heat.
Right.
It doesn't have emotional qualities. You don't have to assign it to them. And I'm working on that.
That's amazing. I mean, I think we want to label everything. We want a reason for everything. We don't like it just is. Because I said so. Right. It's like we don't necessarily love that answer for the most part, because then it's like, well, now what though?
Right? But part of the beautiful thing about being a human being is that we have these memories, and you can learn what mushrooms are safe to eat and what berries are safe to pick. It served our ancestors really, really well. And we don't have to use our memories for those things these days. Fair. And now, I don't know, maybe we've always done this as humans, remembered the stuff that's not necessarily helpful.
Yeah.
But
it's such a good perspective shift, though. I mean, and like just as a whole, just to consider that for ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, why is this so uncomfortable? And could I give a little more ease to it? That's a beautiful thing.
You just gave me goosebumps. Which I've been working on a new thing, and it is a new series that I don't have a name for yet. It's not on the schedule yet, so you can't sign up for it. But we start with the question of, how do I participate in my own joy? Am I just open to the possibilities? Or do I go out and find it? Do I recognize it easily? Or does somebody have to like pull me out of my own self to get me to joy? And then we start asking maybe a little harder questions.
I honestly think those are ridiculously hard questions. From my experience with coaching people or working with people in energy work or any kind of healing.
Yeah.
So many people, when you ask them what brings them joy, they don't, what's joy? I know, but I think, then you have the conversation and you can go to places where it's like, oh yeah, okay, maybe. But I don't think it's at the forefront in many people's minds. Certainly not, maybe not the people doing the work in the moment. I feel like they're like, oh yeah, joy, I forgot about that. It goes to the back burner so quickly.
I think things
those are,
to do.
Yeah, those are beautiful questions. And I think the other thing is like, I don't know, I think sometimes we hear the word joy and our definition of it is like, we judge it. Like if it's not extreme, then it couldn't really be joy.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's an amazing. I love that class. That's a great. So are you when you do those kind of classes? I don't mean it to sound that way, but like yoga classes.
Yeah.
Are you always threading in like your yoga therapy? I can't imagine kind of disconnecting from that stuff. I'm finding that like I just got to a point where it's like I don't offer separate things anymore. You just get me.
Yeah.
Like I just don't, because I can't separate it out anymore. It all comes together. Like I cannot, like it takes a lot of energy for me to be like, okay, I'm only in Reiki right now. Okay, I'm only in tarot right now.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm only in coaching right now. It's like I don't tick that way anymore. I'm integrated, and I can't I can. It's just not comfortable for me, and I feel like you're not getting the best of me then. You thread it in?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that.
Some people love it and some people don't.
Fair.
And that's okay. I don't have to be everybody's everything.
Well, and I think, that's circling back to the last one. Very nice. Very nicely done. I feel like that's it. It's like it wouldn't matter which way you did it. Not everybody would love it.
Right.
Because, and then it's like, so do it your way. And that's when it's like, I don't know. the best is what I want to say, but I don't like that phrase.
Well, it is what it is meant to be.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
But like going back to when I taught teacher training, yoga teacher training, they may not remember it, but every class was told that the greatest gift that you can give the world is bringing your whole self.
Yeah. Yeah.
As a yoga teacher, not putting on a yoga voice and only doing the set little, just the perfect little sequence.
Yeah.
But be messy. Be you. Be present. If you start to sound like a recording on a ride to keep your hands and feet inside the car at all time, change what you're doing.
Right. Yeah.
And then the greatest gift that you can give yourself is to do the work, to find your whole self, so it's easier to bring that into everything you do.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, people keep asking me what I do lately. I'm like, are you trying to tell me something, spirit guides? Like, people keep asking. I'm like, I don't think I'm saying it right. Because it's like, and I don't really mean that, but it does, for some reason in the now it's making me reflect, because I don't super resonate with the word coach. I think I'm a teacher, mentor, guide.
Sure.
I think I'm authentic to who I am, and I can possibly perhaps be an inspiration for you to discover and uncover who you are authentically. Mm-hmm. But a coach just seems so, I don't know. It just doesn't feel right. Like, I'm a catalyst for healing. Maybe I'm a strategist for healing. I'm an intuitive. Right. I'm a lot of different things.
I'm a signpost.
And I just don't know. Yeah. I mean, but also like, I don't say that from a perspective of like, I have all these different things that I can do or want to do or must do. It's like, nah, I'm me. And I have some skills that I've built over the last couple of decades, and they're kind of fucking awesome, you know?
They're very
but they're not awesome for everyone.
No.
And I recognize that.
Yeah.
And I think maybe it's just the coach word is too blanket, and it implies something that, like, I don't know, I feel like it implies that there's a really rigid structure, and that is not how I tick. And I think that's what I'm resisting in that word. And maybe that's not quite it, but I think it's close.
You know, I have the same relationship to the word expert.
Yeah, I used to never use that word, and I finally just got the fuck over it, because I don't think anybody knows everything, and so I see the word expert as different. Like, if you claim yourself as an expert and I know it all, I'm just like, peace out. You're not my person. But if you claim yourself that you've built expertise over the years because you've done the work and studied and had amazing teachers when I say teachers, I don't just mean your teachers and guides. I mean your students, your friends, your family, yourself. Like 100%. I learned from frickin' everybody.
Right?
It's like, yeah. So I don't know. I don't know. It's weird that it keeps coming up. And to the point where when I think like that, then I know like there's a message there. Like I'm tuning in and listening to what is that message.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pema Chodron says that anything that activates you is your teacher.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Without a doubt. It's like, and as a pitta, that's a lot.
Like, well, okay. Yeah. But some days you're open to hearing, mm-hmm. and some days you're not.
Yeah.
And it changes sometimes minute by minute.
Yeah.
Right? Because if I am in an environment, like, you know, one of my favorite principles from my yoga therapy training is unconditional positive regard.
Hang on, let me chew on that a minute. Unconditional positive regard.
Yeah.
Just in general.
For your clients.
Yeah, oh yeah. For yourself too, though, right?
I personally believe it's like if you don't love yourself, it's hard to love other people.
Oh, 100%. I'm there
and
with
let
you.
other people love you.
Yeah, I'm there with you.
So if you can't find some of that for you, it's really hard to find for your clients.
Yeah, without a doubt. And if you can't receive it for yourself, how are you possibly going to give it out?
Exactly. So you start there.
Okay, unconditional positive regard, yes.
And then if I'm in a situation where I'm getting unconditional positive regard, I am going to be more willing to listen to somebody suggesting that I participate in my own frustration.
I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
If you come at me all pitta fired up and tell me, you know, you're probably part of the problem.
Yeah, that's not exactly something that you want to receive, no matter who you are.
Nope.
Not delivered in that way.
Thanks.
Yeah. You can take that back.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in that.
That's not for me.
Yeah. Gosh, that's a whole nother door, right? Of like how you engage with people and how you even see your clients.
Yeah.
I think neutral's a great word.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because if you're charged one way or the other, it doesn't matter if it's good or bad. If you're charged, it's pretty hard to be accurate.
Yeah. Yeah. And present.
Well, right. Unconditional positive regard feels very, I mean, I know it's not neutral, but it feels calm and peaceful to me.
Right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I love trauma-informed stuff. Not that I'm formally trained. I do have a bachelor's degree in psychology, and I grew up in trauma. So everything I do is trauma-informed.
Right.
Even if it's not textbook. So I've started asking people, especially like in final relaxation, instead of relax your arms, relax your legs. Can you create an environment in your body where relaxation can happen?
Mm.
Can you create a spaciousness in your chest and your abdomen where the breath can move in a way that is nurturing and nourishing for you? And asking the question instead of saying, do this.
Yeah. I would love to take like a sample of just asking people how they feel about those things, right? Because I feel like some people are like, wait, what do you mean, can I? And then other people are like, wait, what do you mean, do it? Do you know what I mean? I feel like there's two, and there's probably a million different opportunities or options of like how people respond to those two like things.
Right.
But I think it's beautiful to invite and to get curious, because you know, curiosity is such a beautiful thing. I'm curious. I didn't even mean to do that. I'm curious about Ayurveda and curiosity. Like, it doesn't feel like a kapha thing. Not that I'm trying to bring it back to Ayurveda, but I do have a little bit like of that Ayurvedic thread in my brain as we speak today, because that was kind of where we started. And I do find I find it popping in often when I drive, which I think is Tanya's fault because of how she taught it. Thank you, Tanya. I actually find it helps me very much, actually. But I just wonder, like, is that a Vata thing? Because kapha seems so grounded.
Right.
But Pitta, I could see it being that too. I'm just picturing like flames kind of lapping at things and being curious about what they can add some fire to.
Sure.
And then Vata, I'm like, I don't know.
Well, regardless of where you start, as you get older, you get more and more Vata.
I do know that. And it's very uncomfortable as this Pitta kapha is like understanding like, oh, Vata, where are you? What are you? You feel uncomfortable in my body.
Yeah.
And in my mind.
Right? But I think it makes for more creative problem solving.
Gosh, that makes sense.
I can get really activated when I drive, and my current favorite thing is that's not in my purview.
Yeah.
If somebody is driving like, you know, they have no care in the world, and I feel endangered by it, and they move on, that's not in my purview. That's not my concern. That's not my problem. And I'm not going to hold on to that.
Yeah. Well, and you said something earlier. I don't even remember what it was, but I was like, I think we were talking about Vata. I'm like, you know, the attachment to pick your thing.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like, well, I think where I specifically went was judgment. Because like Vata, it's like you get more creative. Yeah, you get more creative because you don't give a shit what people think anymore. Like, I could give two shits. Like, I'm not trying to please the world anymore, and I used to.
Yeah.
And I think that's a Pitta thing, but it might not be. It might be a kapha thing. I don't know. And maybe it doesn't matter, really, in the grand scheme of things. But that whole attachment to not wanting to be judged and, you know, wanting to show up a certain kind of way, and then Vata comes in, and you're just like, this is fun.
You're like, who cares?
But also, this is really uncomfortable. I'm used to being like, like I can be grounded. Like people used to try and pick me up and I used to hate it. And it was amazing how heavy I could get, how fast. Yeah. I dropped into that earth like nobody's business. And I don't even know how I did it. I'm like, I do not weigh how much it feels like I weigh right now, but you're not taking my feet off the ground. I don't like that. Stop it. Like, just like so weird.
Superpowers are real. But we do get stuck in attachments.
Yeah.
Even in the Vata time sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I think that just because you're Vata doesn't mean that change becomes easier.
Fair.
So when the world is changing, or, you know, the education system is changing. I remember, I mean, this was like years ago, my kids with the new math. Can you help me with my homework?
Oh my gosh, I had that too.
Yeah, let me watch a quick video on it.
Yeah. Mine ended up helping each other, so I didn't even have to be involved. It was great.
That's a win. That is a win.
Yeah.
But still, it's just math. But now, here I am, more than 10 years later, going, oh, that new math.
That's funny.
You know, or you think about your older relatives that you've ever wanted to change.
Right. Or how much they wanted to change you. I mean, that's a two-way street.
Oh my gosh. I was getting a necklace for my youngest for prom out of my jewelry box. And I pulled out one that had been my grandmother's. And I was like, maybe this one will work. And then I thought about what my grandmother would think about me giving that kid a necklace. And then I thought, you know what? I don't know what she would think. She thought double pierced ears was barbaric.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know what? It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We can all get stuck.
Sure.
I watched a lady yesterday walking down a hall in front of me. And then I made some observations because, you know, it's what I do. I cannot stop going, oh, I bet there's this going on and I bet there's that going on, just the way that she was walking. And I overheard her then tell a lady down the hall that she had just had her knee replaced. And I was like, oh, I don't know her. And I want to stop her and offer to work with her so that she can change her gait and keep her new knee healthy. And I was like, should I do it? I checked in the third eye, looked for my wisdom, I looked at my gut, I looked at all these things, and I was like, no. No, she's not going to be receptive.
Yeah.
You can't help anyone who is not open.
Right. Well, yeah, and there's an invitation that happens, right?
Yeah.
It's like we don't just go around, you know. But I love that you paused and listened to your intuition, because sometimes you have these random conversation starters where you're like, well, I wasn't expecting that conversation today, but look at that. That was cool and fun, and I learned something, they learned something. That was kind of nice.
Now, in past, hindsight, 2020, I'm like, you could have just said, I work with people on their gait. Some people don't even know what that is. You don't want to use words that people don't understand. It's closing down.
Yeah.
So I work with people with how they walk for optimal joint health.
Yeah.
Is that something that you might be interested in talking about?
I love that you said interested in talking about as well. Not interested in doing, not interested in hiring me for, but just like, would you be interested in having a conversation?
Right, because it's a gift if all of a sudden she realizes, oh, there are other people I can talk to. There are resources. There are options for me. And it doesn't have to be me. I want everybody to feel good.
Yeah. Would you say yoga therapy? I'm going to use that as like the blanket because it sounds like that's like Ayurveda. Yes, it's a part of it, but it's only a part of it. And yoga therapy is a more complete picture. Do you use that? Do you find that that's what comes in at the forefront for you, like for yourself, for others, just in like how to assess, I guess, and think about what you might need? Is that kind of where you land? I feel like we all kind of have a spot where we land with.
Yeah, for sure. It does. And even when I see Reiki clients, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You can't take it out when it's integrated. It's just really hard to. So you use it with your Reiki clients too? Yeah,
I do.
Beautiful.
Don't tell them, because I only charge like half as much for Reiki as I do for
Fair.
yoga therapy session.
Yeah,
they don't get the full.
I was just gonna say, here's the thing: it's not a full yoga therapy session though. The focus is Reiki, but I mean, it's hard not to thread it in. It's like if you have wisdom. Right. Or knowledge, if you don't like the word wisdom, like whatever it is, if you know something,
right,
and they're in your care because they chose to be in your care, to not offer it feels a little.
It's the main lens I look through.
Yeah.
So I experience other things and other ways of working with people through that lens.
Yeah, so that sounds to me like it actually supports your Reiki sessions as well. I mean, it 100%. Supports all of your yoga classes. You already said you braided into that, right? I feel like if we go back to like the Ayurvedic piece only, I feel like that will thread in occasionally, and then when it does, I'm like, hang on, is this really in my wheelhouse? Because I learned it in Thai massage. I learned it in my yoga teacher training. I learned it in every side class that I took to support all of those things, except maybe Reiki. I don't remember learning Ayurveda and Reiki. So do I know some things? Yes. Can it be a guide for some things? Yes. And it doesn't feel like a whole picture.
No.
For me, I think it's a very big whole picture for the experts in the field. Yes.
Yeah. It's the framework. A lot of the medical model in the United States is a model of illness. Like, what are your symptoms? How can we make them go away? And Ayurveda is a model of what is the root that is causing you to experience these discomforts, this dis-ease.
Yeah.
In quotes.
Yeah.
And then, it goes from being just, a light thing, a mildly discomfort, serious discomfort, all the way up to it's a disease state.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little harder to fix then.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, it's like it starts further out. It starts further out and then it comes in.
Yeah. So I would never presume to use that as the sole thing to move someone from like they are seriously in danger because of the way they care for themselves.
Right.
There are lots of other resources out there who are good for that critical care.
Yeah.
I'm here for life medicine.
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh, that's so beautiful. I think the other thing I'm hearing, and maybe it's not accurate, but I hear that like it's a multi modality maybe process no matter where you are, right? Like it's not quote unquote just yoga therapy. It's not quote unquote just Thai massage. It's not
take this mantra and call me in 2 weeks.
I just think even like I say it in every class, and I just feel like I say it all the time, is like, please tell me you don't have just one practitioner in your life that you're listening to and that's all. Like I just think it's layered, and we need, and I'm not saying it all has to be like practitioners,
Right.
It can be family and friends and whatever, but if you don't know how to be your own advocate, I'm hoping you have a handful of resources and people and experts in their field, whatever that looks like, people who have done the work or study and continue to study. I think for me, it's not even done the work. It's like who continue to study their craft, because it's not like, oh, I'm done now. I know everything there is to know. I just think there's always more. This might make me sound just horrible, but I'm actually an optimist, not a pessimist. But there's always more. There's always more layers to heal. There's always more layers to learn. There's always more pain, and there's always more joy. I mean, there just is always more.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's good, bad, or indifferent. There's just more.
I 100% agree. And it's like that when you just first dip your toes in.
Yeah.
Like, I tried this. It made me feel a little better. What else? Maybe it's going to another yoga class. Maybe it's seeing a physical therapist.
Yeah.
Maybe it's seeing a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, if somebody comes in, I can't yoga therapy them out of mental illness.
Right.
I cannot yoga therapy away a broken leg.
Right.
Right? I can help people be stronger after they heal the bone of a broken leg and go forward with more strength and confidence. I can help someone who is like, I'm feeling anxious, not I am diagnosed with anxiety and depression.
Yeah. I think I just keep hearing alchemy, which has been a word that's come in over and over and over again for me lately. Like, there's just been a lot of, right? Like, what do you do? And then it's not balance, it's alchemy.
I turn lead into gold.
Yeah. I just think.
But isn't that a great metaphor for someone who feels stuck?
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, and heavy and dull, and all of a sudden they're shiny and new?
Right. And not toxic.
And not oh, I want to put that on my business card. Dawn Jenkins, yoga therapist, come to me to get non-toxic.
I'm just thinking, like, they don't put lead in food for us to eat, hopefully.
Right.
But you can eat gold.
You sure can.
Oh, man. I'm not sure how much we answered an Ayurvedic question, but I think the answer is it's one small piece. And you do use it regularly. Like, it's not just a occasional thing. It is threaded into your yoga therapy practice. Yeah. And it's just complicated. I mean, it meaning all the practices, like healing and doing the work for yourself and understanding what might help you is complicated.
I think that the healer, and as a healer, we're just facilitating other people's healing.
Exactly.
We're not healing them. The mindset of it's every little thing, and you don't have to change every little thing right now, but you didn't get to where you are today, the state that you're in, without all of these little tiny pieces coming into play.
Yeah.
And so you're not going to be free of some part of where you are right now without addressing many little things.
Yeah. I love that. Because that's it. And I think we sometimes, I don't know if lesson is the right word, but I think we sometimes maybe even question, well, what good is that going to do? It doesn't even feel like it's hard. And it's like, oh my God, if you do 3 things that aren't hard, you'd be surprised at how much can change.
Right.
I
have a client who has had several, I don't even want to say the word, cancer diagnoses in her life. And she told me one day that her oncologist told her that at this point, it doesn't matter what she eats.
What?
Yeah, that her diet will not make any difference in her cancer or being cancer-free or anything. And I said, not as a yoga therapist, but as just a person, I said, I think I'd find a new oncologist because that's the most disempowering thing I've ever heard.
I think that's another thing that's really, sorry, go ahead, finish your story.
Well, just from the perspective that every cell in our body turns over every 7 years, even the bones. We think of them as like these rocks that are there forever, and they're not. They got a 7-year lifespan per cell. So what are we making all of these things out of? The food that we take in every day, the water that we take in and the minerals in it, the experiences that we take in, the news that we choose to watch, the books we choose to read, the people in our lives. Like, it's all an alchemy to make us where we are right now. And if you can be a little more mindful about that, you can change a whole lot.
Yeah. What I was going to say, I got super passionate about it too.
Yes,
I just think it really points to no matter who you are and how you show up in the world and who you're engaging with, what you say, what comes out of your mouth matters. It can either be literally poison to someone's mind, or it can be an invitation for hope or inspiration or empowerment. I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying that you have to be like fluffy and nice all the time. I'm just saying, like, to take away someone's hope. I don't know. I guess on some level, sometimes that's a thing. Like sometimes there isn't actually, like, there's like a reality that you have to like accept.
Right.
But I just think there's kind ways to offer things. And if you're in, I'm just thinking now about like what you said about like the oncologist. It's like, if you're in a profession, I can't imagine how hard it is to deliver bad news.
No.
And you know what? Maybe the truth is like, I'm not saying this for your client, but maybe there are some times where it's like there is nothing that they can do, and they know what's going to happen because they've done it, and then they're like, well, go live it up, and that's their take. But you don't know anybody else's philosophy, and you don't, like, we don't know what we don't know. And right. I just think to steal, I don't know, I think that's their choice.
Right.
And I think that's important to remember. I think sometimes we shade our own stuff into things, and I'll tell my own story over and over and over again, but it's not in a way that is at least I hope it's not. It's not in a way that's projecting. It's just like a dude, we're in this together, you right. know, like this isn't, I don't know. That was complicated and messy, and I don't even have the right words for it. But I think so many people don't understand how words are so powerful. Like you said before, they're in Shavasana. Do this over or under. What if? I think be curious, because we don't know what other bodies can do. We don't know what other minds can do. We don't know.
If the client cares enough to ask the question, could my diet make a difference? I think there's a more appropriate response.
Yeah.
Regardless of their stage and yada yada. Now, I think that words make a difference. I think our outlook makes a difference. Our energy makes a difference. And I'm still on Facebook. And a memory popped up today. I was traveling to Colorado. I think it was the last time I went for training there. And I got in line at the TSA. And as I was approaching, this grumpy looking man was walking from another direction. And I said, after you. And I let him go in front of me, and I smiled at him, and he grumped. And I said, hope it's just the first small kindness of many kindnesses to come your way. And he complained about the line and what a waste of time it was and all of these other things. And I stood there and I listened with a smile on my face, just knowing what I know. And while we were talking, a TSA agent came and walked over to us at the end of the long line and said, you don't have to wait here. Come with me. We're opening up line 4. And escorted us to another line where we walked right through. And he actually made eye contact with me after we got our bags on the other side and said, thanks for that. I don't know how that happened, but thanks. Because that doesn't happen to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think more matters than we think. And then also saying that, I'm like, caution, like that seems overwhelming. And then it puts a lot of pressure on those of us that are perfectionists or judgmental with ourselves or whatever.
Oh, hi.
You know, me too. I know. And you know what's funny is like every time I say stuff like that, and then I have like the counter like punch, so to speak, or just like the awareness, the counter like observation.
Yeah.
I'm like, the reason I have all that is because my brain does it. It's like the reason it comes in for me is because old me did it without awareness. Old me took that stuff on and made my life so fucking heavy. There's a reason people couldn't pick me up. You know what I mean? It's like everything, all my thoughts were heavy. All my things were heavy. They weren't mindful. They weren't aware. They weren't curious. They were just rigid and stuck, and that was not fun. But so when I say things and I get my old pings, now I smile because it's not actually a pattern and it's not a rut I'm going to fall into. Phew. I'm like, whoa, that was exhausting. You know, that was not fun. And that, you know, kapha much, maybe? I don't know. Or just not aware enough. Don't have the right people and resources or mindset or wisdom to know that I didn't know anything else was possible. I just had my own internal world that I was looking at my whole life, and I didn't know there were other options.
Oh, yeah.
I still don't. I'm sure there's still millions of things that I'm missing that life could just be so much easier.
One of my favorite illustrations that I used to draw, I've got terrible handwriting and I'm not a great artist, but
I love your art, so I wouldn't even, don't say that.
I love to draw on my whiteboard. Yeah, we say what we want because that's who we are now.
That's right.
I would draw two faces facing each other on the whiteboard, and I would take, all my rainbow colored markers and draw layers on this person coming out and layers on the person on the other side coming out, and talk about every time you have a conversation with someone, you are looking through your family of origin, your religion, your schooling, what happened to you, whether you had breakfast this morning, did you get enough sleep, and the other person is hearing you when you speak through all of their lenses of the same thing. It's a wonder that we can ever have a meeting of minds and form some sort of connection or cohesive agreement. But isn't that magical?
It so is. We should, this is dating myself perhaps, but when you were saying that and all those things, I'm like, okay, so we're talking through all those layers. What are the chances it still sounds like words when it comes out? I'm like picturing the teacher from Snoopy, from the Peanuts, who never said one damn word. It was just, that was it. I'm like, that's it. And I think that's another thing to keep in mind when you're having conversations with people. I don't even know how we got down this train, but I like this. I like this road. It's a fun road. I think definitions are different for everyone because we all personalize and internalize, it's based on our experiences.
Yeah.
And so what might mean one thing to you means a completely different thing to me. What brings one energy to you brings a completely different energy to me. And if we're talking about the same word with different experiences and really different experiences, how much does that change the conversation if we're not mindful enough to truly listen and understand?
And ask questions.
Exactly. That's my point. Yeah.
So here's how we got here.
Okay, good. I'm glad you're going to circle it back because I'm like, wait, what? How did we get here?
It's all of the little things that we consume.
That's it.
In our lives. And we make those connections when we're open to possibility.
Oh, you circled it all the way back to the beginning. Well, now we have to wrap it up. Because that's perfect. And I'm a perfectionist. Not really, but I'm trying not to be. Or maybe I am. I don't know.
I'm a recovering type A.
Yeah. Yes.
But that just means we'll have more to talk about next time.
That's true. Thank you for being here. And thank you for having this conversation. I think it's magical, A, to spend time with you, B, to be in company with another human who I think lives from the heart is what I want to say.
Thank you. Likewise. Yeah. That is exactly, you get me.
You get me as well.
And it just makes the possibilities easier to see.
That is beautiful. That is a wrap for today. Thank you, Dawn.
Thanks, Michelle. Oh, you can find me at upwardfacingdawn.com.
Perfect.
It's silly, but that's what it is. And if you look under yoga therapy, you can sign up for a free 15-minute consultation to talk about what you got going on. We can do it in the studio in Coon Rapids, Minnesota, or we can do it on Zoom.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Be you every day.